Independence Day. Better for some than others. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 6th. And of course, obviously Friday was the 249th birthday of America, this great country. Although, as you know, right here, we've talked about some of the changes and things that need to be done to make it, to resume being the great country we are. But of course, on Friday, President Trump finally got the bill passed, the Big Beautiful Bill, which we called Big Beautiful Bullshit a couple of weeks ago. There are some good things, there are some winners, there are some losers within the bill, and I think we just take a minute here to discuss it. But one of the things that I do find problematic with the bill is the debt that it's going to continue to add on, and this ties into President Trump's consistent request for Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. I think the biggest thing is we need to cut spending instead of spending more money. But if we look at the winners from the Big Beautiful Bill, obviously the wealthy, and I mean the wealthy always benefit. So I wouldn't get all huffing and puffing about the wealthy benefiting. I think that that's just natural. When you have money, you benefit from most things. Residents in high tax states, they benefited from the Big Beautiful Bill. Okay, because again, they get some deductions. And of course, if you want to live in those shit states of California, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, you got some benefits. So you got some of the dough back. Again, they're beautiful states, they're great states, but when you're controlled by the left and you're paying ridiculous taxes to live there, you get some benefit back. Small businesses benefit, private equity, domestic car dealers, manufacturers, fossil fuel producers, elderly and tipped workers, which I'm one of those, so that's good for me. Again, we took the taxes off of tips and increased, reduced the amount of taxes for Social Security. So again, I think that is a good thing. Parents, because you get bigger tax credits, telecommunications, corporations, defense contractors in space. So a lot of things have benefited from this Big Beautiful Bill, and again, that's great. I'm thrilled. Listen, you know I'm a supporter of President Trump, so it's no secret here. But the losers, low-income Americans. But I can't call low-income American losers because they lose on everything. Okay, low income gets punished by everybody. Okay, and don't kid yourself. The Democratic Party or the left does nothing to help the low-income not low-income housing, but low-income individuals, other than to help them continue to give them some benefits so they vote for the continued success of their party. Renewable energy, I'm a big fan. I'm glad that we are finally punishing renewable energy. I think that, again, I've said this many times here before, you want to have green energy, you want to have a clean climate, then go to nuclear energy. It's that simple. All the other bullshit, all the other tax credits, all the other crap that goes along with wind, solar, I call bullshit. You want a clean environment, go to nuclear power. That's it. That's simple. And you know what? If there's a couple of issues along the way, so what? Okay. You can put it right in my neighborhood as well. I've got no problem with it. Okay. So don't say that just because I don't live in a neighborhood, you want to put a nuclear power near me, go right ahead. Okay. Technology, electric vehicle makers, elite universities, which God bless, they need to be put back in place. Immigrants, good for that, good, because again, I think that the immigrants need to be, again, illegal immigration is a problem in this country, and I'm tired of paying for it. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly tired of paying for it. And of course, gamblers who file tax they got a little bit of punishment here as well. But overall, other than the debt that's going to be added, okay, I think the bill is good. Okay, again, I'm not a fan of adding debt. I think that we've got obviously way too much debt as it is. I'm more of a fan of saying, okay, let's cut spending. Okay, let's figure it out. And raising taxes is not the way to do it. Okay. Other things that are going around, I mean, real independence. And again, this is the problem that we've been losing. Okay, especially in certain states. When Facebook is your main source energy for or for news for many, what are you really doing? What are we doing here? Okay, Facebook is nothing more than a rag. Okay, it's no different than the National Enquirer because it's only designed for one part of the population. There is not free speech on Facebook. There's not freedom on Facebook. In fact, many people get shut off of Facebook. Okay, that was the problem with Twitter in the past. Okay, uh, kiss goodbye the chance of a Fed interest rate cut. Hey, listen, there should be no rate cuts. I keep going back to the same thing that we don't need rate cuts. We need spending cuts. We need to get the government, whether it be state or federal, to quit spending so much of our money. Remember that we pay for all of this. Okay, it's not them. It's not their money they're paying with. It is our money that we are taxed to pay. So why don't we have them quit spending so much money so that we can then reduce our deficit, reduce our debt, and then interest rates will become much less of a problem. Okay. Um, I think gold continues to go up, showing you the lack of faith, I think, and what we're doing. I think it shows you that inflation is going higher. I mean, have you seen the prices of beef? Have you seen the prices? Again, we can talk about that inflation is coming down. Inflation is not coming down. Inflation is on the rise, but you are potentially going into the potential deflationary scenario or stagflation. So I think that is a very big problem. And I think that when you look at the average American, they're trapped in the 9 to 5 cycle and they have to go outside and they're working part-time jobs. I mean, we just had two job numbers this week, which were neither one were very good. Okay, you can make a case for the non-farm payrolls was okay, but I would say not really. And the private sector, really not very good as well. I think that we're losing jobs. You saw Microsoft lay off jobs again. You saw Amazon lay off more people. So again, when we keep laying off people, how can we continue to be in this position? I think that is a much bigger problem. Okay. I think that when you look at the overall picture, you're creating much bigger problems. So at the end of the day, okay, as we go into another year and come into our 250th year, okay, I think it's time for Americans to step up and say enough. Okay, enough of the spending. I think you have to speak with your vote. I think you have to speak to your politicians and tell them that we need to stop the spending. Okay, we need to stop the giving. We need to raise the Social Security age. There's a lot of things that need to be done because many of the Ponzi schemes that are run by the United States government, okay, need to be changed. And again, it's that simple. Okay, it isn't complicated. It means that we have to work longer to fix Social Security. We have to do a lot of different things. And of course, the other thing is, as I'm a big fan of, is of course Elon Musk and his America's Party. I believe that there should be a third party on the ballot. And I believe that America's Party, if you remember, those who've been listening long enough, when you go back to when I was goofing around Bubba for president, I talked about running America's Party. And I think that this is really something that you should all think about because we need a choice. The choices we have now suck, whether it be Republican or Democrat. We don't get the proper choice, which means we get no RC Cola. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, top Bubba Horwitz. It is Sunday, July the 6th. We're going to step out of a break. We'll be back with our market commentary right after the break. What's up, kids? Well, again, remember we have sponsors for the show, and they're mostly brokerage partners, and I have many brokers, but these are the ones that I prefer. And TRADIER Brokerage. Look, I tell you the same thing every week. It's $10 a month. How can you pass paying $10 a month flat for your brokerage fee when it saves me over $100,000 a year? Okay. Capital Trading Group, they're great for futures. They're great for commodities. They are partners with us in many products, including our new ratio trader. And of course, it is working just fine. But again, I believe that you should have an equity broker, and I believe you should have a futures broker. I don't believe either does both well. ITM Trading, which again is for your gold and silver needs. And certainly I'm a big fan, as you know, of buying physical gold and silver. Spooky Express, which is, of course, the government is helping push betting back offshore again, okay, because of their stupid ass taxes. So if you're interested, spookyexpress.com. Tell them Bubba sent you. And of course, our high school program, which again, we're trying to teach financial literacy to our high school students. And last but not least, the Joy of Mom, which again, it's an organization which we are heavy investors in and helping moms with all kinds of issues and questions that they have. And it is known as the Joy of Mom. Check it out. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 5th, 6th. And of course, markets once again were higher. We continue to defy logic and defy odds. And again, listen, I'm not telling you they should go down. We are actually net short the markets here. And we do expect now the markets were lower on Friday. Again, doesn't mean anything that was Globex because they were open Friday until 1 o'clock Eastern through the electronic markets. But again, overall for the week, markets were higher once again. They're up every day, but the day we were actually closed. They're very much overbought. They're very much overextended. They are the Dow, excuse me, the S&P and the Nasdaq are on new highs. We are short the S&P. We are short the Nasdaq. We are short the Russell. We are flat the Dow. But at the end of the day, look, again, I'm not telling you to short them here. I'm telling you that they're just overdone. But they can continue to be overdone. There's an old saying, markets can be irrational longer than you can be exuberant, longer than you can be liquid. So just be careful. Again, I'm not suggesting you do anything. But I would certainly not be, I don't say I would be a seller if I was not in right now, but I certainly wouldn't be a buyer. In the meantime, the dollar continues to get hammered, did come back late in the week, and we're starting to see a little bit of a move higher, but we don't trade it, but we would be long. The euro currency, we are short. Notes, we're short. Bonds, we're long. And they both went the correct way. Bitcoin, we are short, and again, it's just trying to push up against highs. It did come off a little bit. Gold, we're flat, but I would think gold has some room to go on the downside. Silver, we are short. It's up towards its top again. I would see expect it to pull back. Platinum's had a hell of a move coming up from, we don't trade it, but it's come from 1,000 to 1,400, 40%. Again, we don't trade it because it's not liquid enough, but certainly if we did, we would be short. Copper, we are long, and copper is pushing up. It's well over $5 again. In the grain markets, grains had a little bit of a pop, but you expect that during the right around July 4th, because every year around July 4th, you get a little rally. Bottom line is we're short wheat, we're long corn, we're flat beans. Okay. Cattle continues to push higher, and why? Again, there's a little bit of funny business going on there. We have no position, but we're looking to sell cattle. Feeders I don't trade, but I'd be looking to sell those as well. Hogs, looking to be a buyer somewhere right around here. We'll see what they look like on Monday or Tuesday. Natural gas, we have no position, but it is back around the bottoms. If you're looking for a flyer or a shot, if natural gas gets back to about $3, I might take a shot at it. And crude oil, which has had a nice rally, we're still long. At the end of the day, though, again, very quiet. Markets are very tough to trade right now. The lack of action, the lack of volume, the lack of participation makes it tough. I don't think there's much good news out there. We can accept it. We can make it good news. But if you remember the 90s, if you remember '08, again, to me, this is setting up for a much bigger fail. And I'm not recommending you do anything with it. I'm just telling you that we've seen this movie before. Don't get trapped. Don't get yourself caught up. You're better off observing than you are becoming active. And if you're going to be active, you want to look for the highest probability. That's the way we see it. This is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday. We're going to step out here for a break, and we'll be right back with our market, with our commentary after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, again, just a quick rundown of our sponsors: Trader Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, ITM Trading, Spooky Express, our high school program, and of course, Joy of Mom. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with our commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 6th. And of course, been a wild summer, been a wild week, but we've seen very little action in the markets. We've seen them go up, but very little action in general. And again, I go back to the talk of rate cuts. Rate cuts are stupid. And for all of you who think that we need rate cuts, you should go have your fucking heads examined, because at the end of the day, we cannot continue to facilitate our government with lower rates. We have to have our government cut the spending. Okay, you cannot keep kicking the can down the road. You cannot keep continuing to overspend and hope that our younger or our youth is going to eventually pay for it. This has been going on for forever, and it's time that somebody stood up and stopped it. And again, that ties into America's Party, which Elon Musk is trying to create. The Federal Reserve is a shit organization that is really more of a cabal and a group of gangsters. Okay, the bankster gangsters they call them. Remember, they're owned by the banks. Okay, the starters of the Federal Reserve were Warburg, Rothschild, J.P. Morgan, and the Rockefellers. Do you think any one of them have your best interest at heart? Okay, again, if you go back and look at it, look what's going on. Look who benefits. I remind you that a year ago, when we had the rate cuts, the first rate cuts, the 10-year notes were trading at 3.5%. In the meantime, since that, the Fed funds rate went down 100 basis points. The borrowing rate went up 100 basis points, which means you, the consumer, is giving the bank a 200 basis points raise on the profit that they're making, and you're paying more and they're paying less. Where is the fair and equal value of that? That is the problem with the Federal Reserve. They are not what you think they are, and they certainly do not have the best interests of the American people at heart. This is why we need to have changes, and you need to, at worst, audit the Fed, but better yet, end the Fed, which is what has also created the much bigger excitement into the cryptocurrency world, because at the end of the day, they are not controlled by a central banking system. They are controlled by the free market, which is what we need as Americans. We are entitled and should have free markets that are not determined by what government or by what some stupid ass organization says. That's the way I see it for today's Bubba's Bottom Line. I hope you had a great Independence Day, and let's make this country great again. Let's keep it going. And to all of you, happy Independence Weekend, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week with Bubba's Bottom Line.